In the early 2010s, Chicago rappers like Chief Keef and Lil Reese, along with producers like Young Chop, introduced a new hip-hop subgenre to the world called drill. Sonically, it was similar to trap and with lyrics akin to gangster rap. It quickly gained popularity and was adapted to other scenes. In the UK, artists like LD and producers like M1 developed their own version of the genre with influences from grime and garage, giving UK drill a more distinct sound. This sound was then brought back to the United States and Brooklyn and got popularized by the late Pop Smoke and his producer 808 Mello from the UK drill scene. In this video, I'll show you how to make a drill beat in the style of Fivio Foreign, Spice and Central Cee, all in Soundation, your online music studio. Just click the link in the description and the project will open directly in your browser. No need to sign in, sign up, or download anything. Let's get started. We'll be using the beat maker in Soundation to make the drums. But first, let's set the tempo. The typical tempo for drill is around 140 to 150 BPM, but in half time, so it'll sound more like 70 BPM, but with a higher resolution to work with. I'll go for 145 BPM. Now, go to Beats in the library, search drill to get some beats specifically made for drill. Since drill is so sonically related to trap, you can also use trap sounds if you wish. I'll go for the sneaky beat, drag it into the arrangement, double click the clip to open it up. It comes with a pre-made beat pattern, but I will clear the pattern and start from scratch. As in most music, there will be a kick on beat 1. Then you can kind of choose where you want the other kicks. In general, the more kicks, the more energetic the feel. I'll add just a few more kicks in the second bar. It's pretty common to have a long space between the kicks like this at the start. Click play to listen. As with most genres, you can't go wrong with a snare on the backbeat. A regular backbeat would place the snare at beat 2 and 4 in both bars. But remember, we want this to be halftime, which means we place the snares at beat 3 in both bars. This is perfectly fine. Plenty of drill beats will have this kind of snare pattern. However, a more distinct pattern for drill is to delay the second snare to the 4th beat. This creates a rhythmic push and pull that feels a bit more interesting. The hi-hat pattern is probably the most important part when it comes to what makes the drums sound like drill. Secret behind it is the tresillo rhythm. We covered this rhythm in our reggaeton tutorial, which you can check out if you want to learn more about it. All you need to know is to place the hi-hat on beat 1, skip 2 blocks, place another hi-hat, skip 2 more blocks, and add another hi-hat, then skip 1 block. Then you just start over and repeat the same pattern. It sounds like this. This is only a starting point from which you can add or remove hits to make the hi-hat pattern more unique. Vary up the sound by using different hi-hat and cymbal samples. You can also activate the rolls and click on the blocks to create rapid, sprinkly hi-hat rolls. The more you click, the faster the rolls. I'll also create a kick roll. To duplicate this pattern, you can select the clip and press Ctrl or Command and D. Extend the looped region to include the new clip. I'll make some changes here to shake things up. This time, I'll make the snare more syncopated. I'll go back to the first pattern to add some percussion and maybe this choir sound. Keep in mind that if you use any samples that have notes in the beatmaker kit, notice which key it's in so you can build on it. In this case, it's G minor. You can also add percussion loops to fill out the rhythm section. Go back to the library and go to Loops and Samples. Then you can search and filter your way to what you're looking for. I want to add some more hi-hat, so I will search hat. Browse and preview by clicking on the sample. Drag in the sample you want to use. the sample will automatically stretch to the tempo of the song. Right-click and change the stretch mode to pitch stretch to get sharper transients. We can do this since the loop doesn't have any melodic content. Open up the bottom panel and add some effects if you wish. I want these hi-hats to pan around automatically, so I will add a tremolo effect. And increase the speed. If you wear headphones, you'll hear how it's moving from left to right. I also want the hi-hats to pump dynamically to the beat. So I'll add the fakie, decrease the hold, and increase the depth. Now it'll duck down every quarter note. Tuck these hi-hats back in the mix by lowering the volume. Now they'll sound more like ghost notes, but we still get a lot more energy without losing the clarity of the Tresillo hi-hats. This is without the extra hi-hats. And this is with. Next up, the chords. You can make the chords from scratch or use any of our pre-made chord progressions and build on that as I will. Go back to the library, go to MIDI melodies and chords, search for basic chords. Drill chords tend to be dark and moody. For chords like that, stick to the ones in A minor. I will go for basic chords 43. Drag in your chords. Now we need an instrument to play these chords on. Go back to the library and go to instrument presets. Any polyphonic instrument will do. I will look for some keys. Drag in your preset of choice to the channel with the chords to switch out the sound. Now drag the upper corner to loop the clip so we can fill out these 4 bars. Then I'll right-click and choose Consolidate to make it into one long clip. Double-click to open it in the note editor. These chords are an A minor and a B diminished. Or a 1 minor, 2 diminished if you're familiar with music theory. Since the chords are in A minor and the choir sample I used are in G minor, I need to transpose the chords to make them match up. When both keys are in the same mode, minor in this case, it's really easy to transpose. Simply look at the root notes of the keys, so A and G in this case. G is 2 semitones down from A. All we have to do is select all notes by pressing Ctrl or Command A. Then use the arrow keys on your keyboard to move all the notes down 2 semitones. Now it's in G minor. I'm going to duplicate this clip to use later. Let's change the voicing of these chords. I don't need these bass notes, so I will delete them. I'll move these top notes down an octave by selecting them, holding Shift, and pressing the down arrow key. This makes for better voice leading. I'll move these notes down the same way, and again with this note at the end for some variation. Changing of the voicing of the same chord like this can make it feel like a longer chord progression, even though it's still just 2 chords. Lastly, I will shorten the notes by selecting them and dragging in the sides. When it comes to bass and drill, it's all about the 808. So let's search 808 in instrument presets. You typically want a longer 808 that can glide or slide. 2 good options are the 808 drill slide preset and the 808 Saturn preset. Drag your 808 of choice into the arrangement. Now I will drag the chords we set aside before down to the 808 channel. Open up the clip. Select all notes except for the bass notes and hit delete. Adjust the octave of the notes with Shift and the arrow keys if needed. Now you can adjust the length and timing of the notes. The 808 will mostly follow the same pattern as the kick. Stopping the 808 at the snare hit like this can sound really clean. The end of the 4-bar loop is a perfect spot to add some quintessential drill glides. Let's zoom in to get a better look. Leave a long root note at the bottom like this, then add shorter notes about an octave or more on top. Experiment with the notes, but stay within the key of the track. If you don't know which notes are in the key, you can just Google it. Make sure to leave a gap between these shorter notes. That way, when this note starts, the pitch of the root note will glide up to this one. Then when it stops, the pitch will go back down to the root note, and so on. And that's how you get those classic 808 slides in drill. Now we need some melodies. Browse the instrument presets to find sounds you like and drag them in. I'm going with the click lead and the porta-rotolo keys, which were actually made from a paper holder, as we showed you in the previous tutorial, so have a look at that if you want to find out more. Now we can use the chords to guide our melodies. So I'll press Alt and drag the chords over to one of the new channels. Open it up. The notes are too high up, so I'll select them and bring them down a few octaves. Then just move these notes around and see what sounds good. You can also double click to add more notes. And there we have a lead melody. Now let's create a counter melody. A counter melody is just another melody, but it plays alongside the lead melody with a more supporting role. Creating these counter melodies can add a nice texture to the beat. I'll copy the chords once again. Now just do the same thing as before. Move the notes around and see what sounds good. Make sure it complements and is different from the other melody. I'm making this melody slower and more drawn out. It's okay to use notes that are not in the chords. Just use your ears and make sure it sounds good. By playing lower notes when the other melody is active, you can ensure that it won't get in the way. And when the other melody is quiet, the counter melody can go higher to get some of the spotlight. Sort of like a call and response. Let's listen to the full beat now. And that's how to make a drill beat. Check the link in the description to get this project for free. As always, I implore you to explore, experiment, and make your own thing out of it. Have fun and develop your own unique drill style. Let us know in the comments what you think and what you want to see in the future. Subscribe, like, and we'll see you next time.